is it? No, he's still going. Oh, how about that? How about that?
Carried on into the penalty area. Here he is. And then Giroud. What a goal. Brilliantly worked. Fantastically finished.
Here's Ramsey. And Alexis Sanchez. Great footwork. 3-0. Liverpool blown away. A 3-goal, 8-minute Arsenal blast. Alexis blocked by Newcastle defender. Still not clear. Wow, what a volley. Where others failed, Ozil has succeeded. Well done, Arteta. Plenty of hit here. Yes! Arsenal have their breakthrough. Mikel Arteta. They deserve it. Oh, they're behind again. It's amazing. It's Aaron Ramsey. That's the response of Arsenal. And Iwobi, nicely done. Brilliantly done. Bayern Walcott. Sensational Arsenal goal. Is that a handball? No. Nothing the play can do. Great, what a goal! Arsenal have made it 3-0. Jack Wilshere with an absolute thunderbolt.
Hello and welcome to the Clock End Talk. I'm your host, Tej. You can find me at Guna Tez on Twitter. You can find our new Twitter account at, you'll need a fucking pen for this, at Arsenal CET Pod. So that's at Arsenal CET Pod. And yes, we are back on Twitter. We're also on Twitch as well. So any of you listeners coming through Twitch, welcome. Twitter basically said, fuck you, you can't stream so much shit on Periscope. So I'm like, okay. Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, that's where you'll find us. You'll also find the podcast on your podcast app shortly after this recording. So that's the back house of shit done. So, Tony, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Done absolutely nothing New Year's Eve, as I imagine the rest of the country did, and then just watch some football.
And I will, hope everybody had a great New Year's Eve and wish everybody New Year's Eve for 2021. Okay, football was on, mate, and we absolutely annihilated West Brom, buddy. Mate, what a game, what a win. I was just, wow. Wow.
That's a massive spoiler. What if the people listening didn't know the score yet?
Well, they shouldn't be listening. They shouldn't be listening. And if you don't know the score and you're an Arsenal fan, well, yeah, no. You will not get away from that one.
Go on.
Yeah, sorry. So as we get into, usually, obviously, we get in straight up to the lineup. Before I get into the game and get into the lineup, I just want to touch on a couple of things because I've copped a little bit of stick this week and last week over the Arteta because I was one who was I'm done with Arteta. For me at the time, I could see no plan on what Arteta was doing. Over the last 2 weeks, I don't know whether it was forced, but you could say he has played these younger players. Smith Rowe came into the team a bit more. A playmaker who we were all calling out for. We've had Lacazette 2.0. I don't know where I've seen Lacazette for so long, but Lacazette's come out fire, and things have changed. So those who have been saying, look, the Arteta out bandwagon guys are very quiet, I'm happy to be wrong. Do not get me wrong one bit. I want Arteta to succeed. But at the time, I could not see us getting out of this shithole of whatever tactics you want to call them or whatever was going on. So before we go forward, am I still Arteta out? Well, no. Am I still looking at Arteta with a microscope? Yes. Yes, he's changed things up. Yes, we've brought those younger players in. But, hey, let's hope that this is something brilliant and something of a bit of a bit of a climb out of the shit fight that we're in. Tony, I know you were on the fence with the Arteta out thing. You weren't as vocal as myself and Addy. Have you got anything to add?
I wouldn't say I weren't as vocal. I had a different opinion. It's not like I had the same opinion but didn't say it. I was as vocal, just with a different viewpoint. Nothing's changed. Like, look, I'd never believed. I thought he might get sacked. I never believed he should have. I thought he was a few games away from being sacked. Sorry, but in a sense, nothing's changed apart from, okay, he's brought himself a little bit more grace now, and look, we're playing a lot better. But I'm now not going to come in and say he's the best manager on earth because we've won a few games. The same way I wasn't saying he was the worst manager on earth when we lost a few.
Yeah, look, and I just wanted to highlight that because we sit here week in, week out, and we discuss Arsenal as we see them now. And whether that be a loss, well, we take the loss like every other fan, hard. Win, we take a win on like any other fan on a high. So I suppose, do you call us pundits? I don't know, but we are commentators of a game of football, sitting here with our opinions, and hey, that's what football is. Opinions can change, guys. So one week you may be Arteta is shit, and the next week it may be Arteta is great. But my mind was the fact that I was not seeing no changes. I was not seeing how Arteta, you know what I mean? Like I couldn't see how things were going to change. And now he has brought in these younger players, and I do see things on a little bit of an up. Keeping in mind though, 4-0 win against West Brom, they are in a mess of a team. That team is in a mess. So not taking anything away from Arsenal, it was a brilliant win, but let's just keep our feet grounded and see what happens over the next couple of weeks.
Do you know what? I hate that though, because going into the game, they don't attack. It's going to be really hard for us to break them down. They're going to play 10 men behind the ball. It's going to be cold. It's going to be snowing. It's not a night for Arsenal. They just drew with Liverpool. They just drew with City, and then you go and batter them, and everyone goes, "Oh, well, it was only West Brom." So, what's the fucking point? You can't win.
Yeah, I know. You can't win. Then that's exactly what I'm. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter what you say. You can't win. You're not going to win. Like, and if we had lost that game, it'd be shit. Oh, West Brom. They sat deep, as you said. It was a cold, snowy.
Yeah, but this is where I disagree with you, because I'm not gonna say we only beat West Brom or they're in a shitstorm. I'm just looking at what we done, and I'm looking at West Brom, a team that, all the results they've had against bigger teams, they drew with Chelsea, they lost to Tottenham in the last minute, they drew with Liverpool, they drew with City, and they were robbed against Man United of a draw. They lost 1-0 to a penalty that was retaken, and they had a penalty themselves given by the ref that VAR overturned for no reason. So, yeah, it's easy to say, they lost the game before they played us against Leeds, but look at their results against top teams, and I don't know, do you include us in the top as a top team? And maybe that done us a favour that they thought of us as a bit shit and maybe gave us slightly more space. But I'm not buying into this. It's only West Brom.
Yeah, no, fair call. Okay, let's get into this game. The lineup come out. Your thoughts?
No real surprises. I said in the group chat earlier in the day I expected it to be Aubameyang and Lacazette both playing. I thought he'd give Gabby a rest. Smith Rowe I was a bit unsure about, and obviously Saka picked up a knock the other day, but Arteta said in his press conference he was fine, so I didn't think he'd be switched out. And we've got a week now, like between the two games, we've had a week, so fitness shouldn't come into it too much. So yeah, no real surprises. Danny for El Neni, we was expected to have more of the ball. So you play the guy who's better with the ball at his feet. I don't think there was any real surprises in the team for me.
Yeah, no, I was pretty happy with the way things went, and I was, there's a lot of there's a bit of talk about Smith Rowe and things, so we'll get into that a little bit later. But let's talk about the first 20 minutes, I suppose, and then obviously that brilliant goal by Tierney, and a lot of people said that I need to calm down a little bit, but I thought, fucking that's what I want to see from my wing backs. And we discussed it on last week's show, and I said, you know, how they get up and cross and get up and cross, get up and cross. I love the fact that he went on the inside and hit that ball sweet and got that goal, mate. That was fun. Yeah, that's what I want to see week in, week out. Not going to happen.
But it's never going to happen. Like a fullback cutting in and scoring with their wrong foot probably happens once a season. So say you want to see that when the 20 next time he does it and it hits the corner flag 20 times in a row, I want you to say, carry on, do it again, because I know you won't. So it's not what you want to see. You want to see him rattle a ball in the top corner, and of course we all do, but that's not it's not a style of play you would encourage.
Yeah. Your thoughts? First 20?
I thought we started off pretty bright. We dominated the ball. Our movement was quite good. We didn't really give them a chance. The only chance they had was a foul. If not 2 fouls, it was definitely 1. And then they've countered and I mean, it's an easy save for Leno. I think any of us would have saved it. It was straight at him. But that was the only threat they had before we scored. And I thought we moved the ball quite well. We dealt with conditions well because the pitch was weird. Sometimes it was really holding up, and then other times the ball was flying through, depending on what part of the grass or the snow it was on. And then the snow was clearing up and then getting heavier again. I thought what was a difficult pitch, we managed it quite well. And I thought we showed our intent in the first 20. I know we had one at the back post that Aubameyang just couldn't get on. We had a couple of balls flashed across the box. I thought we showed our intent.
Saka's goal. You want to talk us through that in the 28th minute?
You going to ignore Tierney's one?
No, I just touched on Tierney's. I thought you were going to... I didn't think you were add any more to it.
Oh, fair enough. I thought you was going to add more. I
got nothing more. Mate, it was a brilliant goal. I loved it. And as I said, with Tierney, I loved what he did, and I could watch that over and over again. That was just brilliant for me.
Yeah. I mean, took the initiative in a way we've not really seen him, and it showed that it wasn't just like pace and power; it was intelligence, because he knew the defender. Obviously, being a fullback, he knew the defender would overcover because he's just been beat on the outside, well, with the ball going on the outside. So the defender's overcovered and then he's chopped inside. I don't think any of us expected Tierney to take the shot. And there was 2 or 3 very good touches he took, small touches, that got him in that position. And unleashed the shot. Made me laugh, all the players telling him it was a cross. That cracked me up. But good goal. And as I said, I mean, it's not... His performance was unreal, and that goal obviously adds to it. But that, as I said earlier, that's not what we expect to see. That's the cherry on top of the cake, and the rest of his performances was the cake and the icing on it.
Mm-hmm. No, it was good. Saka, a player. No, I'll be honest. I won't let the cat out of the bag. But my 3-2-1 was fucking hard this week. Saka, was it?
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get into that later. Saka. Next goal, 28th minute. Smith Rowe gets the assist.
The football was crazy. Like, I mean, in essence, it's simple football. It's 2 third-man runs. But to make it look that easy to cut through a team was special. And especially with what we've been served up recently, which has been shit, really. To see football like that was unreal. And 2 things that, I mean, I think I've been banging on about for ages without blowing my own trumpet. People running off the ball forward and Lacazette taking less touches. Well, not just Lacazette, but it was him in this occasion. And it makes it much harder for defenders to set, because suddenly they haven't got the time while you're taking 3 or 4 touches, and they've also got an extra man to worry about from making forward runs. So the first part, and I don't think he's getting any credit for it, is Smith Rowe's ball around the corner to Saka. That's just a ball we just haven't been playing. It's not a hard ball. It's a little clipped 5-yard ball, but we've been too scared to play it in recent months, really. And then Saka's took a brilliant touch, because any touch on the outside, he goes into traffic. He touches it inside, which opens up the pitch. Good ball into Lacazette. Lacazette does well to find Smith Rowe. Great first touch from Smith Rowe. It opened up the options. He could have used his left foot to bend it in the far post. He obviously picked the right option in making the pass, but his first touch was so important because if it goes a bit wider towards his right foot, it makes a potential right foot shot a lot harder, and it basically makes the ball across the box impossible. So another perfect touch, and obviously an easy 5-yard pass and an easy finish. But in the basics, it's 2 third-man runs. It's a third-man run from Smith Rowe and a third-man run from Saka. And you can see how hard basic football can be to defend against when you do it at pace.
I'm just going to pump through those goals, but I just want to touch quickly. So Bellerin got a yellow in the 41st minute. I'm trying to think what that was for.
Late tackle.
It was something. Yeah, it wasn't nothing that jumped out at me. We went into half time, but just after half time, I'll be honest, like we were going in 2-0 up. This second half, this first couple of minutes, probably 10 minutes, I was a little bit worried. And I know this is stupid, right? We're up 2-0 and I'm fucking worried against West Brom. Then I see West Brom, I think it was about 46th, 47th minute. They did get the back of the net, but it was ruled offside. But that first 10 minutes into the second half, where was your thoughts?
I think at 2-0, you always think you need another goal because it's football. You never know what can happen. Like we've seen teams so many times be 2-0 up or 3-1 up or 2 goals up and get caught and get beat or get a draw that they kind of feel unjust. I mean, look at us against Chelsea. We were 3 goals up and they got 1 and automatically you start shitting yourself. So I didn't feel under pressure. I mean, look, when was it Callum Robinson had the goal disallowed, it really doesn't help this rule because he was so far offside that if the whistle goes there because it's so obvious and you just have a free kick and you play, there's no stress on it because they've gone on to score 25 seconds later. You think, oh shit, that was close. But in reality, I mean, is it close? The guy has only got there because he's offside.
Yeah,
and then he, you know what I mean? And it's
hats off to Pablo there too. And I know, look, it's a defender's job to watch that, but like Pablo was, you know, he was making sure that he was going to be offside as well. Like he held back more towards the halfway line as opposed to he could have easily. You know, an inexperienced centre back could have easily drifted more towards the goal and played him onside, and that was so. You know,
yeah, but it's not. He was so far offside that I think if anyone had run back with him, they would have kept up with him. I don't like praising one players for an offside line because it involves everyone. Like if one player goes in too deep, then everyone's fucked. And so I think if any of the players would have went in with him, I can't remember what was his name. It's not Dean Garner, it's the other one, Pereira. If anyone would have went with him, I think they would have been all right. So I just think it was a solid line. And as I said, there was a bit of nerves coming from the fact that they did score, but in reality, I think the rule. I like that the flag stays down when there's a decision to be made because otherwise it stops play stupidly. But I mean, then it was so clear that you're just like you know, you see some of them and they're 5 yards off, and you're just like,
it was
stop
clear.
wasting everyone's time. There was, I watched the Leicester game today, and there was 2 that Vardy had in a row, and he was just clearly offside. Like, and you just the fucking
I haven't caught them yet. So,
yeah. I mean, they won't even be in highlights, but. You know, it ends up 15 seconds later, and then the ref brings it back. And as I said, it's the right decision. But you're like, just when they're cleared, just get on with it. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't. As I said, I wasn't too worried. You always think you need the 3rd goal. You always do need the 3rd goal, but I wasn't on the edge of my seat shitting myself.
Yeah. Rowan says, "Morning, lads. Russ, evening, chaps. How are we, lads? Okay." Lacazette, like hats off to Lacazette, and I'll let you talk about Lacazette because I'd seen that you mentioned it in the group chat. Talk about this goal and talk about Lacazette 2.0. Like, this is a Lacazette I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, look, I'm not Lacazette's biggest fan, but the main reasons around that, well, two of the main reasons. One, he takes too long to do everything because he has 7 touches where 1 or 2 will do. And the other one is he doesn't get himself in good enough areas. I'm not like you were saying with Arteta. Like, I want him to do well. I don't have a personal dislike for any Arsenal player. If you're wearing the Arsenal shirt, I want you to do well. I don't really care who you are. Like, I hate Dele Alli more than any player on earth. If he was in an Arsenal shirt, believe me, I want him to score a hat trick every week. Like, club comes first.
Yeah.
So with Lacazette, like, I know some people, I've heard people say to me before, or people tweet in saying, "Oh, Lacazette scored. You must be disappointed." No, why would I be disappointed? Or, "Oh, I bet you're gutted. Lacazette played well." No, like, do you know what I mean? I don't rate him. Of course, I want him to play well. But look, recently, since in the Chelsea game, probably the start of it, he's done exactly how I would like him to play. His hold-up play has been either take a touch to bring it in and then play the ball off, like 2-touch maximum, or even sometimes first-time passes, which makes it a lot harder for teams to defend against us. What I don't like is when he takes 7 touches, he backs in needlessly, he has a little slow dance on them, and then lays it off, because by that time, he's either lost the ball, gone down, or even if he is successful and gets the ball away, the other team have had the time to get defenders back or get back in shape because he's had 5, 6, 7 touches. I think even going back to, I mean, you can go back to his first days at the club, but even stuff that come into mind, like our goal, our team goal in the semi-final of the FA Cup. No, was it semi against City? Yeah, semi, where it ended up with Aubameyang at the back post after a Pepe cross. Lacazette got the ball in the centre circle, 1 touch, spin, played it out wide to right back, and then they played it to Pepe, who crossed it, and we scored. That's always how I've wanted him to play. And look, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe that's not how he should play, but so people may disagree with this, but for me, the reason he's been so good in the last 3 games, I know he only played 30 minutes against Brighton, is because he's played in a style that I think suits us better. He's had 1 or 2 touches. It means he's taken less contact from the defenders, because instead of them climbing all over his back trying to get the ball for him, he's taken a touch and played it. And by the time they got to him, the ball's gone and he can spin off. And he's also got into the area a lot more. I mean, you look at, forget his goals for a minute. Even in the first half when he didn't score, he was constantly in the area. He was a menace. He had touches, and maybe he didn't get the shooting opportunities. I don't even know if he had a shot in the first half. But he was in the area, laying people off, causing havoc, and that's as big a compliment as I can give him. Like our second goal, the Saka one, the way Lacazette played 3-4 weeks ago, that goal doesn't happen. And we might sit here and think he played a minor part in it because his ball to Smith Rowe wasn't the most difficult. But something so small, him taking 3 or 4 touches there instead of 2 or 1, completely changes the what happens in the game. And then that doesn't happen. Then we're only 1-0 and it's a completely different game.
Mm-hmm. Look, you touched on it pretty much. This Lacazette, it's he runs more for me. He's I don't like to say he's putting more effort in, but I'll be honest, it looks like he's putting more fucking effort in. Somebody's had a yak to Lacazette and said, and I have to only suggest Arteta's had a yak to Lacazette and said, I want you to not have, as you said, 7, 8 touches, slow it, fasten it up, but slow down to play the ball a little bit more. Because Lacazette, this is the Lacazette we need to see. I haven't checked his heat map yet. Usually I do have a little squizzy and you see Lacazette sitting back with Pablo. I don't think I don't recall him dropping back as deep in this match. I could be wrong, but
I think just from the eye test, I don't look at any of that shit. But just from what I saw, I think he was a bit deeper in the second half than he was in the first. But then there was a bit more space to play into. I haven't looked at any stats, and I'd be interested to see the distance covered because I don't feel like he ran more.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I just think because he was higher up, you see him in the area, and you naturally assume he ran more because he's in the positions you want him to be in. But I think it was just his starting position was much higher. Going back to the second goal a few weeks ago, he'd have been having that ball in the centre circle, Instead, he's 25, maybe 30 yards out, and he can spin it into Smith Rowe, who's in the area. If he was in the centre circle, he's holding it up and then playing it 5 yards out wide, like just out wide, and nothing past. Not for any fault of his own, just because of the area of the pitch he's in. But I would be interested. As I said, I don't think he tried any harder or ran any harder than normal. I just think we noticed him more because he was in threatening positions where he isn't usually. But again, I don't know. I've not looked at any stats.
I said I hadn't looked at any stats. Usually I do, but anyway, I'll have a squizzy in a minute. Fourth goal, Lacazette again. Tierney.
Well, even on the third goal, to be honest, we didn't really cover it. Saka is ridiculous.
Yeah.
On the right, defenders ain't got a clue what they're doing. And I don't know if we put it down to West Brom played a centre back at left back for some bizarre reason. I know Gibbs was out, but they must have someone else that can play there. And Saka had him on toast. And it was just, he didn't know where Saka was going. Saka's ball off, but his delivery off both feet is insane as well. That right wing position's now sewn up. It has to be. There's no, we can't look anywhere else. Ajay, to be fair, I quite rate Ajay, Semi Ajay, and I know he came through the Arsenal academy, and it was basically his goal against City. It got deflected and given as an own goal. He scored against Liverpool. He's looked like a colossus a lot of the times this season. He's massive, he's rapid, he's strong. Fuck me, it was one of the worst games I've seen a centre back have in years. Yesterday, I don't know what he was doing when he hit the post from Saka's cross. I have no idea what was going on. Smith Rowe follows up well, hit it so clean with his left foot, and I think really, and I know other people have said this, and this is going to sound like an anti-Lacazette agenda. I would have preferred it to go in from Smith Rowe, if I'm honest, like to get his first goal and whatnot. He hit it well.
He hit it well. Yeah.
He hit it well. Good block on the line from Ajay. What kind of hit him in the nuts, but done well. But again, Lacazette being in the right area. How many times have we seen balls falling there and Lacazette being absolutely nowhere near where in that area? So, and look, I've said this before about Lacazette. I couldn't care less if he misses from there. Obviously, he didn't, and I'm glad he didn't. But just him being in them areas is enough, because if you're in them areas enough time, you're going to get them sort of goals. So, like, simple finish, good finish from Lacazette. You'd expect him to do that. But for me, the bigger joy was not the finish. It was that he was there. And also with Smith Rowe as well, again, the ball's come back off the post and he's come to an Arsenal player at the edge of the box because we've got someone running forward. Like, so them two think we've had 2 second balls there in their area that both have fallen to the Arsenal man. Okay, that could be luck. But the fact we have people in there that gives us a chance of it falling to someone is you make your own luck. Because a few weeks ago we might have hit the post and then it just rolled out to their defender who's jogged up the pitch. Now we've got Saka putting the ball in towards Aubameyang, Smith Rowe on the edge of the box, and Lacazette in and around the 6-yard box. You've got 4 players in their area. You've got a good chance of getting any second ball now. A few weeks ago, you had 1 player in there, and the ball might have been towards Aubameyang, and their defender fucks up and it hits the post, and then it just rolls away to no danger because we've got no one following it in. So I think we're making a lot of our own luck at the moment, and I'm glad to see we've got numbers in the area.
What is it, like you talk about the right wing with Saka, and I agree with you. That cross he put in was brilliant, but that lead, it was almost like he was floating. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but he's the ball at his feet was just brilliant. Like, is this? I don't want to like jump the gun here, but like Saka is something special, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's playing with insane confidence at the moment. I mean, he's never been shy anyway, but I think since we've been winning, he's stepped it up as well. Like, that confidence in the team has come out in him. And as you said, he was gliding across the pitch with the ball. I think he can go both ways reasonably well. I'm not saying his right foot's amazing, but it's good enough that if someone forces him down there, he can use it, which is probably the biggest problem with Pepe, is that if you force him down on his right foot, he'll try and find a way to get back on his left. But Saka's is good enough to go, okay, I'll take that option if you're going to show me it, which is what happened with that third goal. Obviously, Lacazette's first. But you saw earlier on in the game, he went strong on his left foot and put 2 really good balls in. So now the defender didn't want to show him on his left anymore. So he over-covered, which gave Saka a lot of space on the right. But yeah, I mean, he's just his confidence, everything about it. Even the way he speaks now. Like, you see him, he's done media. I don't know if he done after Brighton, but he did after Chelsea and yesterday. And even the way he's talking, he's just talking like he's confident. It's like he's now I think before he came across a little bit shy. I'm not sure if he didn't feel like he belonged at that level, or like, do you know what I mean? He wasn't. He was doing well, but he wasn't part of it yet. Now it's like he seems to have realised that, like, I'm basically the best player every week here. Like, or I'm one of the better players on the pitch every time I get on the pitch. I'm an England international. Like, now I think it seems like he's got that confidence to just go and show what he does. I mean, yeah, and the thing, what's his final ball? Or not even his final ball. His decision making is so good every time that it's just like, that must bring confidence to him, and it also must scare other teams because he just finds the right option all the time.
Yeah, no, it's good to watch, and I'm enjoying it. Talk about a couple of thoughts coming on in a minute. Russ has one.
We didn't do the fourth goal.
I just want to touch on the fourth goal quickly now. Wrap this up. So Lacazette gets the fourth. Tierney gets the assist.
Yeah, I mean, KT was excellent down that side the whole game, basically, and got in down there again. Good move, really good move. Started off, I think Aubameyang drove quite a distance, 30-40 yards, and then laid it out wide. Brilliant ball from KT. But do you know what's funny? That football's such a weird game that when things are going for you, they go for you. Like that, I can't remember who it was against. I think it was Leicester, where Lacazette basically missed that exact same chance. I think he missed the ball, basically, or got the faintest contact on the ball, and moaned at KT for putting the ball across in the air. And I remember even coming on here and saying, like, no, fuck off, you're a striker at 2 yards out. Okay, the ball maybe could have gone along the floor, but you can't blame anyone else for not scoring there. Now, we're 3-0 up, everything's going well. Lacazette scored 4-3 or 4-4, whatever it is. The ball hits him on the knee and flies in. Had that been 0-0, had that been 3 weeks ago where it's 0-0 and nothing's going for you, football finds a way of that ball not going in. And now we're all sitting here going, great cross, well done, Lacazette's got his goal, he's got on the end of it, again, in the right position.
And you just touched on it, again, in the right position. And this is this Lacazette that I'm not seeing, we haven't seen. And all of a sudden, maybe if it's not he's running so much, maybe it's his position. Maybe it is. I'll have to go back and have a good look, and I'll have to have a good look at some stats and some heat maps and things like, because I want to know myself on where is this coming from. Like, I watch it on the game. I watch the game, but I'm not just watching a Lacazette, am I? Like, we're watching everybody, and things are happening so fast, but I don't know what it is. Maybe it's his positioning. Maybe, but then you said he sat a little bit deeper in the second half. So
yeah, no, I mean, I don't think he sat deeper. I think he came a little bit deeper at times in the second half, but then there was more space. The game was won, and we was playing exhibition football at the end. But I just think his average. I think his average position would have been a lot higher. I mean, it's hard not to. I know a few weeks ago, I can't remember who it was against. I think it's 2 games in a row where the centre midfielder, whoever it was, their position on their average position was higher up than his, or at least alongside him.
Oh, so, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and now, I mean, I imagine, without looking, that his average position was the highest yesterday, especially of those central. And that's with someone like Smith Rowe who runs forward, whereas before he was playing with Ceballos and Willock, who aren't really forward runners, and they were still ahead. Their average position was still ahead of his. So I just imagine, as I said, I really don't think he's running more. Again, just from the naked eye, but I think he's playing higher up and he's moving the ball quicker, which means he's not getting hit as much, which probably gives him more energy because you get it, you give it, you move. It's easy. Whereas if you get it, you take a touch, you got big defender climbing all over your back, little knees in your thigh that are not fouls, but someone's so close to you, you get little kicks and little niggles, or they're banging into your back, and it takes its toll. I mean, getting hit takes its toll.
Sam just says, morning, guys. I think your analysis is excellent, but in the last few games, are you seeing the value of Lacazette in this system?
I think he's been pivotal to the system.
So,
I think if you look at the 4 goals, I think that KT's is a free goal. In that you're not going to see that every week. The other 3 are all to do with Lacazette's role in the system. The obviously the Saka one, it's because he holds it up and only takes 2 touches and finds the right ball. And then the 3rd and 4th, he scores because he's in the right position. And look, there's been other games where he scored 2 goals, and I can come out and go, he's like, do you know what I mean? If he scores a free kick or scores something from 25 yards, and you kind of think, well, that for me, that's not him having a good game. Or no, that's not fair. That's not him doing what I want him to do. He can have had a good game, but you think it's not repeatable. He's not going to score from 25 yards every week. What he done yesterday and what he done against Brighton and what he done against Chelsea, he can do week in, week out.
I'm just going to look, and this is no massive defence here on Granit Xhaka, because people know that I'm a Granit fan. But when I see what Smith Rowe has done, what Saka's doing, and what Lacazette are doing up front, up front and the number 10 role and sitting in back, it takes amount of pressure off Granit and Ceballos. I say Ceballos because he was partnered with Granit last week. But whether that be El Nani or whether that be anybody, that midfield role, and a lot of people I've seen later after the game, Granit had a quiet game. But what? Because Granit didn't get any assists, because Granit didn't score a goal. I get very confused on what people actually want from Granit. For me, he done exactly what you want from your midfielder this game. I don't think he had a bad game. I'm not saying he, okay, he didn't get any assists, he didn't get any goals, but you've got players like Lacazette, Smith Rowe, and Saka, and I'm not mentioning Aubameyang because I'm going to talk about him in a minute. But you've got these guys all firing, and how much pressure does that take off them too, Tony?
Yeah, I agree with you in that he done nothing great, but nothing bad. Like, do you know what I mean? A 7 out of 10 sort of game.
Yeah.
And where I would agree, it takes pressure off them. And look, pressure's not a bad thing at top level football. You should be under pressure. But where it helps them, I'm going to say, not takes pressure off them, is he's got people running forward. So we all moan, and look, and El Neni gets the worst of it, to be honest, but that's because he actually hates passing forward. I think it's against his beliefs. But prior to before the Chelsea game, they had no one in front of them. Or no one, do you know what I mean? Or everyone in front of him just standing still.
Well, Lacazette was sitting back with him.
Yeah, and you can't play that ball. Oh, it's not even just that. You had wide players. You had Willian, who wasn't trying to get in behind. Obviously, it was pre-Martinelli. Then Smith Rowe, as I said, his first thought is forward all the time. You didn't have that. So it helps them. It just gives them more options. And it's not just them two, whoever it be. I mean, look, I thought Ceballos was excellent yesterday, but it doesn't just help them. It helps everyone. Now the defenders have got an option long, or they've got an option short, whereas before they only had an option short, which makes it easier for the other team to defend against. The fullbacks are the same. They've got an option inside, an option down the line. They can go long down the line. I think nothing came. It was either the chance. I think it was a chance where Aubameyang slid in at the back post of Saka's ball when it's still 0-0. Ceballos plays basically a 60-yard ball in behind that 2 weeks ago wasn't possible. And now we nearly score from it. All because we've got players looking to run forward. That one move just shows how much easier it is for our midfielders to play, because they've got various options. And it makes the pitch bigger as well. When someone's willing to run in behind, the other team have now got to think about, am I going to go backwards or forwards? So it just naturally, they can't come too far forwards because it leaves too much space in behind. So then they have to drop 5-10 yards, which now makes there's 5 or 10 yards more pitch to play in.
So look, and it's just same old, isn't it? Really, when they looked at Granit as though Granit was the bad guy again, and I only brought him up because I did see quite a few tweets coming in afterwards. Russ, I'm just going to get your thoughts here now, buddy. Firstly, Happy New Year to you both. Secondly, he was a tad premature in his calling for Arteta's head about 10 days ago. Mate, don't feel bad, Russ. I was exactly on the same boat, buddy. Look, I'm not saying... Let's face it, the pressure is off Arteta, okay? I'm not Arteta out, but the pressure is off him at the moment, okay? Now, that can change very, very quickly. Who we got coming up?
Newcastle.
Because we've got that FA game, haven't we? Cup, the cup game.
Palace. I'm not sure if Palace is directly after that or the one after, but we've got them in the next 3.
And then I'm pretty sure we've got City popping up too.
United. We've got United on the 30th of Jan.
Yeah, so I'm not. Look, although we're actually just playing good football, and this is what I wanted. I don't care so much about we're losing games. But when you're losing games and you're not seeing anything in that game to say, hey, how could we have won that? Because I'll be honest, there was back to probably Leicester, just after the Leicester game, I was like, I'm seeing nothing. And a lot of that was probably Willian as well. I seen nothing from Willian. And yet Willian was starting week in, week out, and I just could not work it out. There was other players who were just being, whether they're bad form or whatnot, but I just couldn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. So obviously, if you can't see a light at the end of the tunnel, I am kind of leaning towards something's got to change, and it starts with the bloke in, making these decisions. These last 2 games, I am now seeing change. So I don't know whether somebody's got into his ear and put a rocket up somebody's ass, or whether he's just... I don't think he's changed it. I think he's fluked it, to be honest, Tony. I'll be honest. I think he's fluked it because he didn't have Willian to start. Willian couldn't start. So I think he was... It wasn't the fact he was under... Yes, he was under pressure, but I'd like to know if everybody was available, would he have picked the team that he's picked the last 2 or 3 weeks?
Well, I mean, look, there's 2 things there. One, you're never going to know. And 2, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, true.
Like, the thing, we've put out what we've put out, and it's what's happened. Look, everyone, including myself, was quick enough to hammer him when things went wrong. So now when things are going right, I'm not going to try and find reasons to take off him, because if I was big enough to say he's doing A, B, and C wrong, I've also got to be big enough to say he was doing A, B, and C right when things go well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And like I said at the start, I want him to do well. I'm happy to sit here and be proven wrong, but you got to call it as you see it, and you call it as you see it.
Yeah, I just think trying to find reasons why it was some credit to someone else, I don't see the point, because you're never going to know. You're going to be guessing. And even if you're right? Let's imagine he was completely fucking lucky. What does it matter? If we carry on like this from the way forward, what does it matter? Look, to be honest, my motto in life, anything, is I'd rather be lucky than good. You can beat good, you can't beat luck.
Yeah.
Anything. Like, you can name absolutely anything. To be honest, I got it off a poker player, a very good poker player I know, who said exactly that. I can be the world's worst poker player and go in on a 2-7, which is the worst hand you can have for anyone that plays 2-7 offsuit. But if the other cards that come down are another 3 7s, you ain't losing. Like,
yeah, true.
That's life.
Look, I'm a little bit like Russ is there. He's a little bit feeling sorry for himself and thinking like me, like, fuck, I called for Arteta's head 10 days ago. I'm a bit of a cunt, aren't I? And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I did very similar. And I'm not saying I was wrong at the time, but because I was only going on what we were watching at the time. Things change. So surely we can change our mind.
Yeah, there's no problem with that. As I said, I don't begrudge anyone that. I hate the term flip-flop in football fans, because I don't think anyone's a flip-flop. I hate the term because, as you said, things change. Stuff that was true yesterday isn't true today. So you're not a flip-flop. You just now have more information, or more things have happened. So I'm not saying, no, you said Arteta out, you can't change your mind now. I just dislike that, especially people that were strongly Arteta out are now trying to find reasons to not give him any credit for what's happened in the last few days. I'm not saying you have to completely forget all the bad things either, by the way. I'm not saying, oh, no, you can't mention that we were shit for 10 games or however many it was. Of course you can, because that's part of what happened. But don't now go, oh, he only played Martinelli because of this, or we only winning because Smith Rowe played. Like, as I said, if we're big enough to shoot him down, we've also got to be big enough to pick him up.
Fair call, fair call. Okay, I'm just looking here. Sam mentioned, is that because Smith Rowe is occupying those spaces, naturally pushing Lacazette up? That was their discussion on Lacazette.
Yeah, I think, yes, that helps. I also think having someone running forward off him helps, because Lacazette, it gives him options and then he can push higher up. There's no point in winning the ball on the halfway line, playing it forward to Smith Rowe, who's still 40 yards out and got to beat 3 men. It's just a waste of everyone's ability and time. So I think, yeah, Smith Rowe naturally pushing the line deeper because he runs beyond it. So then defenders go, shit, he's quick. We have to drop 5 yards. So then Lacazette naturally moves up 5 yards. But I also do think the joy of someone running off him, it just gives him more options, because now he can get the ball and turn and actually do something. Whereas before, if you got the ball on the halfway line and managed to turn his defender, it was like, well, what's the point? There's still 10 men behind the ball. You're not going to shoot from inside the centre circle.
Russ says, and there's a couple of questions on this late, all we needed was a number 10. The results plummeted when Ozil was admitted from the squad. It's not hard to see.
I disagree with that. Even as much as I'm an Ozil fan, let's not pretend that the back five between was it June we came back from COVID and the FA Cup final, it worked well. Like, it was a different way of playing and it wasn't as attractive, but it worked, and there was no Ozil in that period. I think we're certainly a better looking team with a number 10, and we were shit from basically the start of this season up until December. But I'm not gonna sit here and say, the number 10 was the only difference. We're shit without one and good with one, because we won the FA Cup without one.
What makes you say that though with the number 10? Like, what you just said then, that we play better or we look better with a number 10. What makes you think? And obviously, put results aside for a minute, but when you actually watch a game of football and you do see the number 10, what makes it look a little bit better for you?
Well, more options, because a number 10 naturally doesn't stay in the middle of the pitch. They float around. They're high up, but they float from left wing to right wing. So they're connecting the play everywhere. It almost gives you overloads in every position. Like, you can think of times where, obviously, we're going to talk about Smith Rowe because he was the one playing that role. I can just, obviously, I've not researched this because it's only just come up, but I can think of times he popped up on the left, times he popped up on the right, times he popped up in the middle, times he got in behind, or at least ran in behind their defenders. So it just gives you more options everywhere. And obviously, when you've got more options, it's easier to play in combinations and short passes because there's more bodies there. Like, now it's suddenly a 3-on-2, where previously it would have been a 2-on-2, which is a lot harder to play against. I just think most teams are more visually attractive and look, I'm going to say 10 loosely because people have this idea that a 10 just stands in the middle of the pitch and plays through balls. But obviously I don't mean it like that. But an attacking midfielder, if I'm going to say it rather than a 10, I think makes pretty much all teams visually more attractive. And I know people say it's gone, but the role's gone. But as I said, they mean 10 in the sense of you stand in the middle of the pitch and try and provide through balls. Because in the shape of things, De Bruyne is a 10. Okay, you can argue he does more, but he's a 10. Bruno Fernandes completely changed Man United. He's a 10. Like, okay, Liverpool don't really play with one. But I think most teams just naturally pass the eye test and they look better with a 10. And even, to be honest, I speak to a lot of Liverpool fans due to getting their team news and stuff. And I know he's not quite a 10, but they all bang on like about Naby Keita like he's fucking God's gift. I don't rate him. But again, it's because he's more visually attractive. And I don't mean he's a sort and everyone fancies him. I mean, the football is much better on the eye when you've got that creative player there. To be honest, I never rated Coutinho. I never rated him. And you can look back forever to know that. But it's good on the eye, what he does. My problem was it always looked beautiful. And then you looked at the end of the season and he had 5 goals and 3 assists. And you're like, hang on, I remember thinking, wow, this guy's fantastic.
Yeah, he did look good. He does look good, doesn't he? How's he going now? I haven't watched Barcelona for a
No,
while.
he got injured the other day. I think quite long term. I saw a headline, but I don't know. I've not seen how he's actually doing. I just know apart from his last season at Liverpool, where he done quite well, like his numbers are actually good. His numbers were always absolute trash, but you could remember a lot of the goals because they're from 30 yards, or he played no look through balls and he connected the play a lot. And I just think every team looked visually better. Well, not every team, but most teams look visually better with a 10.
Yeah, I've got a mate there on Twitter that doesn't talk, but does Barcelona stuff, but I haven't even heard from him for a while. So. Sorry, I had Barcelona in my head then. I was there. I'll forget that. Check that later. So, that was Russ's. Sam just talks about his issue with the players like Granit, Tobias, Lacquer, etc., who had good games. Is they need a system to be right to play well in. The team does, whereas KT, Saka, Partey, small sample, perform regardless. So I'd imagine Granit's possibly got his gigs there. Like he's there, and it's going to be who partners with him. My worry there is, Tony, and a little bit on Sam's question as well, is when Partey comes in, I think Granit and Partey are a lot like. Not a lot. I'm not comparing them both, but you know what I mean. Where Tobias will go that little bit forward, Granit will put the big balls forward. That I don't know if that partnership will work with Partey and Granit. I suppose.
For a start, I disagree with you. When he's fit, Partey's the first one, and whoever works best with him will play. And to be honest, I think it will probably be Granit. I don't see them as similar because Granit will sit deeper and Partey will play a little bit further up because he's got the legs to recover. He's got the engine and whatnot to be there. That's what I imagine.
Yeah.
But as I said, I wouldn't be surprised. Granit, at the moment, I would probably say it's more likely, but I wouldn't. It could be any of them, really. We saw him and El Neni do really well at Old Trafford. So it could be any of them, but I think Partey is the first choice. In terms of what, was it Sam? I just think different players are suited. I don't think there's ever really going to be a left back or a right back that's going to be only suited to one system, unless there's someone who's got like an insane delivery and they need a target man. But even then, if their delivery is that good, look at Trent. He gets 1 million, and Robertson. They get 1 million assists a year, and they don't have big guys to aim at, but their crossing's that good. I think fullback. You're never going to be system dependent. And in some areas you are, and I think most players are in an attacking sense. Look, for me, Messi is, if he's not the best player ever, he's in the top 2. You put him at Stoke. I'm not talking about. No, I'm saying if he's not the best, he's in the top 2.
Oh, okay.
I'm just catering for other people's opinions. But if you put Messi at Stoke, and I'm not talking about quality here because there's the obvious gap in quality, but if you put him in a long ball team, he wouldn't be anywhere near as good. So he becomes style dependent. And I think that's the case with most attacking players. Where Saka's joy comes from is he can play everywhere. So it doesn't look system dependent. But again, if you had a team that only focused on final third entries, it'd make his job a lot harder if he played high up, and then he'd have to play deeper because then he would be playing the balls into the final third rather than being there himself. But then you could argue that makes him system dependent because he can't play high up in that system. He has to play slightly deeper. My personal opinion is all attacking players are system dependent. And to be honest, most players in general, because you could look at a centre-back and go, a slow centre-back. John Terry, perfect example. For me, the best English centre-back, I think he's better than Rio. So for the best English centre-back of the 2000s, I'm not including Adams because Adams was basically finished by then. I know he played after that, but he wasn't a player. Yeah, so for me, the best English centre-back of the 2000s, John Terry. Yeah. Right. People would say he's not system dependent. Make him defend on the halfway line. He's now system dependent because everyone runs past him. So for me, pretty much every player, and I know I just said fullbacks aren't, but it's the same sort of thing. If you've got a fullback that isn't quick, then playing them on the halfway line is a suicide mission. or getting them to bomb on constantly and they're not fit enough to recover, again, it's a suicide mission. So I think there's very, very few players that aren't system dependent.
Okay, we're going to do our 3, 2, 1, and then we'll get into some questions on Twitter. We've also got some questions coming through in the chat. Tony, go 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, just before I name my 3, 2, 1, I found my 3, 2, 1 incredibly easy to pick, and I saw Arsenal's poll, and mine was exactly the same at the time. I don't know if it's changed, but there's so many players I feel bad for because there's players I thought were excellent, and they weren't in my 3, 2, 1 at all. But so KT3, I don't think I overly need to explain that. Saka 2, don't feel like I overly need to explain it, and Laka 1. But I just, again, shout outs to both centre backs. I thought Danny Ceballos was fucking excellent, but doesn't get in it. And I thought Smith Rowe was insane, and again, doesn't get into it. I think Arsenal's poll, I'm just going to say the 4 people are. I don't know. I'm not going to say the result. Was the 3 I've mentioned and Smith Rowe, and they were my 4. If we'd have gone 4-3-2-1, that would have been my 4-3-2-1.
I'll be honest. I've got exactly the same, for the exact same reasons. I felt bad not adding Pablo as a 1. I felt maybe Smith Rowe. I thought Rob Holding was worth a shout as well. You mentioned Ceballos. Mate, it was just a team of. I like it being this hard. You know what I mean? Like, it should be this hard week in, week out. I put a poll up on our new Twitter account, and I know it was late, but hey, got 700 odd votes, I think. So, Saka, Laka, Tierney, Smith Rowe. So obviously Tierney won it at 74%. Saka at 14%. Laka 5%. Smith Rowe at 7%. Nobody qualmed, nobody questioned anything to say, hey, what about this player or this player? So where sometimes you do get that in the comment, oh, what about Pablo? What about this player and that player? So I think everybody was pretty much in agreement with the 4 players we just mentioned.
Yeah, so at the time I voted on the Arsenal poll, it was, as I said, it was 4, but it was Tierney, Saka, Lacazette, Smith Rowe, which, and in that order, I mean, like Tierney won it, blah, blah. And that's, as I said, if we'd have had 4, that would have been exactly what I would have done.
Who got the official, Tierney?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I seen you boys talking about it in the chat. That was all, and I thought somebody mentioned Saka got the official man of the match. That was also. Yeah.
No.
So that's that. That's our 3, 2, 1. I'm just going to play this, mate, and then we'll be back to a couple of questions,
Okay.
For Gooners everywhere, this is the ultimate football app for you. For match highlights, interviews, and the best Arsenal videos and podcasts. Download the free Gunners app now from the App Store and Google Play.
Okay. Yeah, great app. You can download that. Thank you to Louis. Got some questions. Now I'm just going to give out this Twitter account again. This is going to take me a while to get this. At Arsenal CET Pod. At Arsenal CET Pod, or you can get me at Guna Tez, and it's in my profile link. Tony's phone's beeping away there. He's obviously getting message after message. So you can get your questions in here. I did throw a question thread up late last night to say that we're recording today, and hey, we got a couple of hits, so that was good. Schwinn, he's asking Tony, what business do you realistically expect this window, both incoming and outgoing? Happy New Year, lads.
Obviously, Kolasinac has already gone. I suspect Socrates will go. I would like to loan Willock out because he's not at a level to start for us. I'm not sure he ever will be, but there's a chance. So I'd like to see him loaned out. In Nketiah, I'd like to see loaned out, but then it gets stupid because I'm going to start naming players that need a loan, but then it leaves us with no players. But I think with Gabby back now, we could afford to loan Eddie out. But obviously, what's he asking? What do I want or what do I think?
What business do you realistically expect this window realistically.
Okay, so Kolasinac and Socrates out. There'll be a no, Mustafi won't go. I think one of Willock I think Nelson will go out on loan. Sorry, and then I think one of Willock or Nketiah. I know they're different positions, but I'm just thinking of numbers in the squad. Inns. I'd really like to see a progressive attacking midfielder. I'm trying to avoid the term number 10, but let's call it what it is. I'd like to see another 10 because there's nothing wrong with Smith Rowe, and anyone that's listened to this for long enough will know my thoughts on him. But what have we got? 20 league games left, 21 league games, plus hopefully a cup run, plus hopefully a Europa League run. We've got potentially 30 odd games left. He ain't going to play all of them. And at the moment, we've got no alternative. Not in the way he does it. So I'd like to see someone come in. But then I also don't want it to be a star because I truly believe Smith Rowe will be a star. And if you bring in a star now, that blocks him.
Well, what about the elephant in the room? Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Ozil. Does he go, okay, well, Ozil's out of contract. Do we just let him, do I just re-register him? Gives a little bit of relief on Smith Rowe. I can play Ozil in the cup games and Is that just
I'd do it, but I would do it, but I would have left him out. Do I realistically think Arsenal will do it? No. That's why I didn't say it. Because it just makes you look weak. Not to the players, because the players are there and see how they interact every day anyway. And also, my belief is the China thing is the reason he's not in the squad. So that ain't changed. But that might not be true. That's just my opinion. And there's not much will change that. But I might be wrong. But yeah, it's annoying. So I would like to see that kind of midfielder come in if we're not going to include Ozil, which I don't think we will. But it's difficult because I said I don't want a star. So then you're going to ask me, what name is it that's not a star but can come in and will be happy to rotate with Smith Rowe? And I sit here and go, no idea. Is the truth?
This kid from Norwich City?
Maybe. Yeah, but then the other issue is then do you pay 30 million for someone who I think Wendy is young as well. I think he's only 23. So he's not much older than Smith Rowe. And do you spend that kind of money on someone who's going to be a rotational player? Maybe you do. Maybe that's modern football and you have to do that. If the club are willing to do that, then there's loads of options. But my opinion is Arsenal aren't going to spend 30 million plus on someone who's going to be playing 50% of the games.
That's about it for the business, eh? Nothing else that you can...
Oh, that's what... Yeah, I mean, I can't see much else being done.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think there's any really obvious I forgot. Yeah, I mean, you got to think of finances as well. Personally, I'd like to see a proper backup keeper brought in, but they're not going to do that with the money. And I would deregister Rinneson for the homegrown and bring in a proper keeper. But again, that's not going to happen. That's also the people that are going on about non-homegrown. I'm not saying in these comments, but obviously with Kolasinac going out, we've now got a spot for a non-homegrown.
Yeah, okay. Does Lil Nenny stay?
Yeah.
Junior? Yeah.
100%. Guy plays.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking, like, and I often wondered at times, was he playing to try and get a buyer or coming into January, because he had some great games, and I suppose, you're putting him out there, aren't you? Like,
but look, there's no chance he goes in January. That summer might be a different story, but the fact is, if you don't include Willock because he can't play that deep, we've got 4 players in that position. Partey, who's played about 180 Premier League minutes, if that. And I might even be generous in saying that. Obviously, Xhaka, who plays every week. Danny and El Neni. You lose one of them and you're in fucking trouble. Because then one of them picks up an injury and the others have to play every minute in every competition.
Maitland-Niles?
He's just not going to play in there. Yeah, look, for me, yes. But he ain't going to do that. He played him there once in Europa League because we had no one else.
He stays as well.
Oh, he stays. 100% he stays.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm not. He's like in terms of your midfield options, he is like when you've already scraped the barrel and somehow there's something that stayed in there. And I'm not saying that's my opinion. I'm saying that's how he's been used.
That's how he is. Yeah. It is what it is. Glasgow Gooner, he says, "Where do I find you now? I used to listen on Twitter." Glasgow. You can find us on YouTube, buddy, Facebook or Twitch, mate.
You might want to answer that on Twitter because if he can't find us to listen, he hasn't heard you just answer that.
Yeah, he hasn't over. So I'll actually reply back to you, buddy. He might listen after a podcast or something. I don't know, or any podcast that mate. Sugar Daddy says, "Do we go after a 10 in the upcoming window, considering the emergence of Smith Rowe, Ozil possibly returning? Also, I would like to get your thoughts on the top 4 potential after the past 7 days. Seems as though Chelsea really was a boost for us. How much credit does Mikel deserve?" We just touched on the 10. We don't really know. Ideally, it's re-register Ozil, let him play the 3 months or something, and just happy days, see you later. But like you said, I don't think that'll happen.
It's the logical option, but sometimes football isn't logical. A lot of time, football isn't logical.
I also would like your thoughts on top 4 potential after the past 7 days. I'll throw mine out there because I was looking at this morning. Obviously, Liverpool. I have to say Leicester City are now in my top 4. There's something about that team. Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's consistency. They just are consistently fucking winning. Manchester United, they've been a big shock for me. They're not in. What are they in?
They were
Champions
second.
League?
I think Leicester might have. Oh no, Europa League.
Yeah, Europa League, FA Cup. They're still there. What else they got?
Carabao semi-final on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Oh, they're there too. So they're playing in all comps.
I mean, there's maximum 2 games left in the Carabao. Their squad's huge.
Is it a big squad? Is it okay?
Like, fucking massive.
Liverpool, Leicester. I think Man City will find a way to get there, and the 4th spot will be depending. It'll be Tottenham, Man United, someone like that. I'm going to throw that Man United, Tottenham, only because where they're situated now. I can't see Villa getting there. Chelsea, the wheels have fallen off. Southampton are back where they should be. West Ham, they're not going to. I know it's a bizarre thing, and when we're talking West Ham for top 4, like it's just this is the competition this year.
Look, I'm not going to sit about and do any top 4 prediction. We're nearly halfway through the season, and the table isn't properly formed yet. I've been saying that. I still don't look at the table, and I said this earlier in the season because it wasn't formed properly. That there's no point, and I maintain that. Look, you win. Chelsea, literally, go 3 weeks ago, and Chelsea were title challengers, and we were getting relegated. Yeah. Now I only know we're 3 points behind them because I watched the Chelsea game today, and the commentator kept saying it. Like this league is so cramped at the moment that, as I said, Tottenham with Chelsea, they said today we're top of the league for a day 3 weeks ago. It might have been they played first, so they took. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone else technically had a game in hand, like they played in the morning, but they were top of the league 3 weeks ago. Now they're 3 points ahead of us, and we was, as I said, everyone was saying we're in a relegation battle. Tottenham were top of the league, and then I know they won yesterday, but they were 8th before that. Like this league is just stupid. Look, if someone had a gun to me, the easy option is to say we won't make top 4, and I don't believe we'll make top 4. But doing predictions at the moment is madness. I think at the moment, City win their 2 games in hand. They're a point off top. I think someone said that earlier.
Yeah, probably.
And their games in hand. One of them's But no, but I mean, the thing is with City, like in previous years, you'd go, "Oh, City, 2 games in hand. Yeah, they're probably going to win them both. So they're basically 1 point off top." This year, you'd be mental to say they're going to win 2 games in 2 games in a row, judging on current performance. But in 3 weeks, if they obviously beat Chelsea today and win their next 4 games, then their 2 games now come up. You go, "Oh yeah, City will win them because they've won 4 or 5 in a row. They look good. They're on form." Same as us. Like we started that Chelsea game as like massive. I think we were 5-1 or 6-1, something stupid. Then we go to Brighton and the odds are still not sure, so we're around 2.3. Yesterday we're away to West Brom. We're 1.5 something. Like form, the form is crazy.
It's fucking crazy. Look, and look, go back to December, like 19th of December, or probably 18th for you guys. Liverpool beat Crystal Palace 7-0. They then drew to West Brom. And then Drew didn't even score a goal to Newcastle. I'm like, and they're top of the table.
They've won one. They've won one of their last 7 away games. Liverpool.
Right, that's crazy. The only team I can find consistency is Leicester City at the moment.
I don't think they're consistent. If they were consistent, they'd be top of the league. How can you say the team that's second is more consistent than the team that's top?
Yeah, it sounds a bit weird, doesn't it?
Well, it can't be. If you said they're overachieving, I would agree with you. But who's it? I mean,
overachieving.
They lost to Fulham. I'm trying to think. They lost another stupid game. Oh, they got battered by West Ham. They lost 3-0 to West Ham. They lost to Fulham at home. Like,
I'm probably talking about the last month, though. To be fair, like they've only lost the one game, and against Everton in December. Oh, yeah, in December. That's the only one they've lost. And Fulham. So they've lost 2 games.
Well, how's that? So in December they drew with Man United, lost to Fulham, and lost to what was the other one you said? Everton. That's not consistent.
Drew to Palace too.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, from being consistent, it's turned out that they've dropped 10 points.
Yeah, right. Fuck off.
Like,
yeah, I know.
It shows how shit. Look, I've been saying it all season. The league is so bad that it's entertaining because it's so bad because there's no banker. There is no the biggest banker of this season so far was Liverpool at home to West Brom. It finished 1-1. And the second biggest was probably City at home to West Brom. It finished 1-1. Like there's no game at the moment you would go, I'll put my house on that. Well, there probably is for you, but you're stupid.
No, I'm betting on Serie A. I've given up on the Premier League. You can't bet on it. You cannot. Actually, I did jag a multi this weekend, but that was just a sheer fluke. I wasn't confident. Yeah, I'll bet on 2 flies crawling up a wall. So that's just me. Let's keep rolling with some questions. Hakon Larson, that was the best game for a long time. Great to that things just clicked and we got 4 well-deserved goals. What changes would you do for the next game?
Cup game, I would rotate heavily. Well, but I say that, I mean, I'm not talking about putting unknowns in, like Pepe would play. Dare I say it, William would play.
Is Gabriel back?
Yeah, or should be. Obviously, it's unknown with COVID, but his time should be up. But
so you got to give him minutes for fitness.
Yeah, so he would come in, probably play Ains. It depends on Hector because obviously he only came off yesterday because he was booked. So maybe keep Hector in. Difficult at left back because KT's our only one really. You play Cedric, I guess. I wouldn't play KT. I think he's too important to us, but someone's got to play. Maybe play Ains at left back and Cedric at right back. But I would make changes. David Luiz probably plays. Midfield is difficult. Partey should be back, so I think Partey probably plays. I'm not saying we're going to be weak, but I would make wholesale changes, put 10 or 11 without. Well, I wouldn't play Renison just because it's a cup competition that we want to win, and you can't trust him. But I mean, I'm looking at a high number of changes.
You don't like him, do you?
No. And also bear in mind, if you look at the last 7 days, whatever it is, when we've won 3 games, we've basically not rotated. We've made one change here and there. And you look at every other teams, like Leicester made 7 changes against Palace. I'm only saying Leicester because you just banged on about them. They made 7 changes. United were making 5 and 6 changes. Like we haven't made changes. So I know they've got a week off now, but I also do think you need to give players time off the pitch at some point. So I would rotate heavily, personally.
They're a good team, then, Foxes. They're a real good team. I like their manager too. Okay, you've been listening to Leicester Talk. Fucking lost all the listeners. MAA Gunner. He says, how much has Saka playing on the right influenced our form? Last season he played on the right and we played amazingly until Eddie got sent off.
You know what? I wasn't really impressed with him on the right last season. I don't know if it was a bit of that confidence or arrogance that I spoke about earlier that he didn't have. Maybe it's a little bit of strength where he was too scared to go down the outside because he felt he was going to get out-muscled. And it was all just, he's going to come in field and he's going to come into traffic. I didn't think he was too... And I also don't think he ran in behind last year when he was playing on the right, really. Obviously, there's occasions, and the one MAA Gunner's talking about kind of is one of them, that Leicester game where he did run in behind off a Ceballos through ball. But even then, he went on his right, and he was so worried about getting tackled that he played the ball too early and it ended up a great assist. But if he wouldn't have been worried, he'd have realised that the defender slipped and he had all the time in the world. So yeah, last season I wasn't overly impressed with him on the right. I would have said that was the worst of his positions he played for us. I know it's a small sample of 3 games, but the 3 games he's played for us there this season or in the last 3 games, he's been unbelievable. Like I literally can't pick a single fault.
So
no.
He's been good, brilliant. I like him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say our form's down to him. Obviously, it's helped. No,
I disagree with that. Our form is down to Saka, Smith Rowe, a new revised Lacazette. Like you can't like 4 weeks ago, these blokes weren't playing. Saka was, but okay, it's not down to one player. It's not down to bloody. Yeah, okay.
That's literally what I said, and you said no. I disagree with you.
I thought you were saying that it's not down to these players.
No, I said it's not just down to Saka. He's helped.
Yeah, he has helped. He's helped massively.
I know. That's why I said it.
Okay. And Smith Rowe and Lacazette, reformed Lacazette.
And Martinelli, I know he didn't play yesterday, but his pressing and just aggression has helped. But yeah, as I said, it's been a bit of a surprise to me because, as I said, I didn't overly like Saka there. I thought he was a bit too cautious. I'm not saying he was terrible there. Like, let's not change the narrative here. But he was I thought it was the worst of the positions he's played. But this season, these last 3 games, he's been fucking spectacular there.
You've never been a Bellerin fan. Do you think are you seeing something different from Bellerin that we didn't see probably last season?
Yeah, he got subbed. Yeah, he got subbed yesterday. He didn't do that last season.
Fucking hell. Hakon says, is the 10 role really dead?
It's never been... it's been dead but no, it's not. It's never been dead. Basically, what happened, and I feel quite strongly about this, is people started deciding 10s were something else. So if I say De Bruyne if someone said the 10 roll's dead, and I'd say, what about De Bruyne? They'd go, no, he's not a 10. He's a, and then just start saying random numbers or Italian words that they don't really understand. He's not a 10. He's an 8 Tranquista Motorola Nokia 34 face-off Sony Ericsson. And you're like, okay, but he's a 10. He is.
Yeah.
And I know, yes, but that's the thing. Look, the role has definitely evolved. You have to do more. You can't be a guy that just tries to stand in between the lines and play the final pass anymore. I completely agree. But that's not what Smith Rowe does. So if you're now calling Smith Rowe a 10, then De Bruyne is a 10, Bruno Fernandes is a 10, and fucking a load of others are 10s. James Maddison's a 10.
The old 10's gone, right? The old 10 has gone. And as you hit the nail on the head, it's evolved.
Yeah,
you have to do a bit more than you used to do. And possibly, I know where this question's coming from. It's around Ozil, because Ozil, as good as he can be and as good as he is in some games, in others he is very lazy. And
see, this is again where this is where I find everything really hypocritical, because Ozil, people only judged him by the old factors, the old 10 that you basically all you done was get assists. That was your only job.
Right. That was your only job, though.
But I've been at so many games where Ozil was fucking amazing, and I come out and I see people go, I didn't get an assist. What was the point? Now, with this new evolved 10, that's fine because you have a wider part in the game. But people still judge Ozil by the old standards. So you've got to people that
you've got to adjust
it's the same as what but it's the same as what you're saying with Xhaka, with Ozil, because people don't like him. They're going to choose the role that doesn't fit. If he gets an assist, they'll go, oh, fucking hell, he didn't help the midfield, or he didn't do this, he didn't do that. If he doesn't get an assist, it'll be, oh, fucking hell, he didn't get an assist. Like, and I'm not just saying it with Ozil. It happens with all of our players, pretty much all of our players. If people don't like them, they will find a reason to not like them.
Do you think the problem is, and Ozil's been one of them players that the 10 role has evolved, so much, maybe he didn't evolve with it. Like,
again, I disagree. You only have to look at numbers. Covers the most ground on the pitch every time he's on it. Completes the most passes. Completes the most forward passes. Creates the most chances. But if that assist column says 0 at the end of the game, he gets hammered for it. Look, I'm not sitting here saying Ozil is perfect.
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I'm just trying to work out myself what it is like, because I'll take away the thing that you mentioned about China and stuff.
Well, look, say Smith Rowe yesterday doesn't pass that ball to Saka. He has a shot and the keeper saves it. So he comes off the pitch with no assists, but plays everything else is exactly the same. I would still sit here and say he had a good game. If Ozil had that same game, people would say didn't get an assist. And this is not me picking sides, because, as I said, anyone that's listened for long enough will know I've been saying it. Smith Rowe should play for us for about 3 years. So it's not me, he just likes Ozil and doesn't like Smith Rowe. Believe me, I love them both. But Ozil is judged by different standards, and because a lot of people dislike him, which he has some part in. I'm not saying he's blameless, but because people dislike him, they choose to pick a standard of whatever one he doesn't fit. So, and they change every week. So when he gets an assist, it's he didn't help the team. And when he doesn't get an assist, it's he didn't get an assist. Pick a standard and stick to it. And if he doesn't fit that, that's fine. Look, he's had bad games. I'm not saying he's a 10 out of 10 every week. But choose what your criteria is and stick to it. Because, you see it lately a lot on Twitter, and not just with Ozil. They go, you're just using stats to back up. They go, he's not playing well, but he's created our most chances in this amount of time. And they go, but what's chance created worth? Well, it's kind of his job. So
I agree with it. The same old Arsenal podcast. The boys over there, they're not recording this week. They've had a few. What was it? I think it was a family member had passed away. So, sorry to hear, boys, and hopefully you'll be back soon. But they have asked the question, Pablo Mari and Rob Holding, do you change it when Gabriel is fit or leave it how it is?
Do you know what? If our next game was a league game, I wouldn't change it. Obviously, I've just said I'd make wholesale changes from the cup, and it's, unfortunately for them too, it's a chance for someone else to impress. I personally would change it for the cup game and then bring them two back in for the league game. But it's going to be very difficult if Gabriel or Luiz, who I'd imagine will start if fit, come in and have a 10 out of 10. It's going to be very hard to then leave them out the following game. In the same way, if Pepe comes in and scores a hat-trick, it's going to be very difficult. Or if Martinelli starts and scores a hat-trick, it's going to be very difficult to leave them out. But for me, I would change.
Are you saying Are you seeing a different Rob Holding at the moment too? I'm actually seeing, and funny enough, like I listened to the boys on the Thursday Night Live a couple of weeks ago, and I talked comparing Rob Holding to Tony Adams, and I was like, "Oh fuck off, lads! You're kidding me, aren't you?" And since I've listened to that, I've taken a bit more closer look at Rob Holding, but these last couple of games, he's been great. And I don't know if it's because Pablo's next to him or what it is, but he has been. He's almost 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going a bit over top. He's been very good, but he's always had spells in his Arsenal career where he's been good and spells when he's not been so good. Hopefully, this is finding a bit of consistency. I think Addy touched upon it a few weeks ago that under Emery, before he got injured at Old Trafford, I think there was 5, 6, I don't know, 10 games in a row before that where he was excellent. And then he got injured, and then since he's come back from injury, he's been a bit inconsistent in that he's great some weeks and terrible others, and somewhere in between for the rest of them. I do think that we're defending a bit deeper with him and Pablo because neither of them are quick, and I think that suits him better. I think that's also why he's always done well when we've gone and played with a back five, because usually, naturally, a back five will sit deeper. So you look at both our cup runs where he's done really well. Obviously, the 2 FA Cups we've won with him in we both played both with a back five. He actually, under Wenger, it was the first time he broke into the team really properly. He played the first 2 games of the season because we didn't have anyone fit. But then after that, he was out of the team and whatnot. And then he only came back in when we went to a back five. And then he looked excellent until the end of that season. And then the start of the next season, we changed to a back four again, and it didn't quite work for him. And then he got injured again. I think defending deeper suits him and it suits Pablo. And I think most defenders, and I say this all the time, will look better when defending deep. But he's definitely one of them, because if he is high up, he's not got the pace to recover.
Okay, I've got a couple come through in the live thing. So Ross has asked Costa or Giroud.
Who do I think's a better player? Is he asking, do I think we'll sign him with him? No, I think Giroud's better. But I thought that when Costa was at Chelsea and doing well, I always thought Giroud was better. I thought he had more to his game. And Costa, I mean, I think Costa's properly finished now. But even at their best, I personally thought Giroud was better.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Because I actually, look, better I don't know, but I hated Costa. He was a real little, and a lot of probably Arsenal fans did. He just knew how to rub a player the wrong way, and if he was actually playing for Arsenal, I'd be. That's what we needed at the time. That's what we want.
Them type of players are always. If he's your player, you love him, and a lot would argue Jack Wilshere was like that. Everyone else hated him because he's a little cunt. He was our cunt, so we loved him.
Yeah.
There's loads of players like that. Jack Wilshere was probably the only one we've had in recent times, but Tottenham fans would probably argue Dele Alli's like that, and to an extent, Jesse Lingard is. He's just a bit too shit to play that role. Luis Suarez was like that. He was also fucking fantastic, which was difficult. Costa's like that. There's certain players, Sergio Ramos, probably a few Italian defenders that are similar that are not coming to my mind at the moment. That they're an arsehole, but they're your arsehole.
Yeah. That's one thing that I always wondered about Costa, and I just remember him all the time, and especially playing against us, it was always like I haven't got the stats or anything in front of me because this has just popped up, but my memory tells me that he used to make us get an odd red card here and there. Like there was I vaguely remember him just fucking.
He got Gabriel
shit out of us. He got Gabriel, was it? Yeah. I remember a couple of games. Yeah. I just remembered a couple of games where he got it. Maybe that was the only one I'm thinking of. And I often thought, well, I wonder if he was at Arsenal, he'd be our cunt. Is he better? I don't think he's better than Giroud. I didn't mind Giroud, but Giroud does give you more options. Costa's a little bit smaller, isn't he? And plays the ball, probably scores more with his feet than his head. Willock and Nelson, Russ says, need to be loaned out. Chaps, they just aren't the grade.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Is there a chance they could be? Maybe, and that's why I would loan them, not sell them. I wouldn't put my house on them being good enough eventually, but there's a chance. So while there is a chance, don't let them go, because we all know that it always comes back to bite you in the arse when you let someone go and then they come back to haunt you.
What is it with Nelson though? Because he was loaned out in the German team last season.
No, season before.
And he's, from everywhere I was reading and whatnot, he was actually playing really well. He came back and we were all like, oh, beauty, Nelson's back. But hasn't really done much since he's been back. So, are we to a point where we cash in on Nelson now?
I mean, he didn't play well over there. He started the season well and then couldn't get in the team beyond that. I can't remember if he was injured or anything at the time. I don't overly know why Emery kept him. Arteta seemed to really like him when he came in. He did play well. It's probably arguably Nelson's best spell. And he's done quite well in the Europa League this year. But then he's been left out of squads. He's not made squads when he should have done. I mean, a lot of the Willian argument at times was, well, Nelson's doing it on a Thursday night. Give him the chance. But it never happened. Now he's been injured and not quite recovered. And look, I would give him a loan in England. Hopefully you'd get a Premier League team to take him. That might be a bit difficult. And see what happens. See if regular game time in a competitive country helps him. Same with Willock. And I know what's going to happen is if he goes to the Championship, people are going to go, oh, look, he's not even Championship level. But 6 months ago, Smith Rowe was in the Championship. Sometimes it's just about getting minutes at, obviously the level can't be too shit. There's no point going and giving him minutes in the A-League. But it's about just getting them minutes at a competitive level, especially when they're young, just to be like, in reality, Reece Nelson has never played more than 5 games in a row against adults, as crazy as that sounds. So, as I said, I prefer it to be in the Premier League, but if it has to be the Championship, so be it, just so he's playing week after week against proper professionals.
Sam says, what about a goalkeeper? You touched on that earlier. You'd like to see another goalkeeper. I really can't see it happening. Sam says, Sam says Wenger said in his book that Ozil needs to feel supported, therefore, after freezing him out. How do you think Ozil will go under Arteta? For me, he should be in, but will he perform for MA? Have you finished the book yet?
No, to be honest, I got bored around all the French stuff, and then I went on holiday.
I did too. I'm halfway through it.
I went on holiday and I meant to take it for the flight and stuff, and then I didn't. And then I brought an audio book instead when I was at the airport, and I listened to that. And to be honest, I saw someone moaning about it today on Twitter, and I was like, "Oh shit, I've got that book." I think someone must have got it for Christmas, and they said, "Oh, he's not even spilling any beans," and I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, I've got that book." But I haven't finished.
I'll be honest, it's not like I've read the one that Saf done at Man United, but it's not a good read, to be honest. It's like, I'm halfway through it and I'm fine. It's a struggle. It is a struggle.
It's very factual. I think from what I've read and from what people have said about the end of the book, which I've obviously not read, it's very much that you could have found out most of it on Wikipedia. As in, I went to this club, I managed there for however many games. This went well, this didn't go well. And I'm like, well, I sort of could have just looked at your Wikipedia and saw you won the league in Japan. I didn't need the ins and outs. But, I mean, I will read it. As I said, I just completely forgot I had it. But in terms of the question about Ozil and whatnot, I mean, the first part is the reason he's been excluded. So if Arteta brings him back, does he feel that it was Arteta's decision not to include him? Has he been training fully with the squad every day? If he does, he'll still feel integrated. And will he have a point to prove? And I know people might say, oh, he's on this money, blah, 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 he doesn't have a point to prove. But I think professional pride comes into everything. Like, there can be something that you really don't care about, but if someone keeps telling you you're shit at it, like, you just want to be better. So, I mean, like, if you always beat me at pool, for example, I couldn't care less about pool. But if you always beat me and kept telling me I'm shit, I'd want to win. Even if it's just once and I never played the fucking game again.
You'd never beat me anyway, so don't worry about it.
I wouldn't lose to you. Not a chance. But it was just a perfect example of the twinkle.
That's it, mate. Yeah, no, that's it. I'm just looking back through Ozil. Needs to feel supported there. I don't know what the go is with Ozil. I've seen a few people on Twitter talking about Ozil's out of contract. At last, he might spill the beans and so on. Like, if he does, he does. But look, let's face it, he's a player who. There was a player years ago at Chelsea. I just can't hear his name.
Michael Reitzinger.
And he was frozen out.
Yeah, he was on 40 grand a week, which at that time was decent money for like 3 years. And he just didn't. He just forgot he existed.
Yeah. But did he ever spill the beans?
I don't think so. But at that time, football wasn't. We're talking about a time when I said 40 grand a week was a lot of money, and it was. Football wasn't. I mean, look, Twitter didn't exist for a start, so football wasn't the entertainment industry it was now. Like before, it was sports. Now it's sports and entertainment. Like there's. I don't know if newspapers work the same way there. That basically the sports stuff's at the back and the news is at the front. And 10 to 15 years ago, maybe a bit more, 20 years ago, sport started becoming front and back page news. It's a saying you hear all the time over here. Like football changed when it started becoming front page news.
Yeah.
Like, say probably David Beckham's got a lot to answer for, because it got to the point David Beckham was so big that when he got a haircut, it was on the front page of the paper.
Yeah, he was massive here too. Yeah.
Yeah, but but I'm saying before that, if you imagine, no one give a shit when Tony Adams got a haircut. Obviously, if he broke the law, we're talking. Of course, that's front page news, but that's because he's done something. But Beckham probably started it where footballers were front page news, like, oh, they've gone out to a nightclub and we've got a picture of it, and that became news. Whereas you had people like Adams and Merson who were going and getting absolutely hammered like on any given day, and no one give a shit. Like, so yeah, football's just completely changed. So will Ozil do? I mean, you look at players from that area when you're talking about Michael Reitzinger. I think it was him. It's him or Winston Bogard. And has any footballer from that era got a book, like even an autobiography? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Football wasn't front page news then.
Yeah. Who was the other bloke? Torres. He just sat on the fucking bench, got paid a absolute fortune, didn't he? Then went to Spain.
Who, Denis Suarez?
No, Torres.
Who?
Am I saying it wrong?
Hang
on. I'm trying to think who it is. Yeah, I'll have to think of it now. I think it was. No, wasn't it? Isn't it Fernando Torres?
Did you say our bloke?
No. My fucking breaking up here. I know I'm in Australia, but fuck me.
Yeah, you said who was our bloke. You must have said other bloke, but no, Torres.
Other bloke. Yeah, Torres. Fernando.
Yeah,
Torres.
I mean, he played at Liverpool. Obviously, at Chelsea, he played a fair bit. He didn't score a lot, but he played. He never just collected his wages.
I remember him just sitting on a bench a long time, but maybe I'm. Yeah. I remember Chelsea fans whinging, he's paying a fortune, can't do nothing.
Yeah, no, but I was saying they paid a big amount for him. He was scoring non-stop for Liverpool, and then he went there and didn't score for ages. And to be honest, he didn't, in terms of performances, he wasn't too bad there, but they brought him as a guy that scored a goal every, say 25 goals a season, and they ended up with a guy that scored 10 goals a season. So you're naturally going to moan, but in terms of performance, he wasn't terrible there.
Yeah, okay. Russ says, Tez, yeah, he did too. Tez, get out of here, dummy. It must have been coming across bad. Was I echoey or something?
It sounded like you said, "Who's our bloke?" That's why I said Denis Suarez because.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense then. Yeah. Okay. Fucking hell. Okay, that's it, boys. That's us. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And would you believe we did actually have some people listening on Twitch? So that must be a good platform. So I don't know nothing about it, but I've thrown it up. It goes live on Twitch, so I've got no idea what a Twitch is, but yeah, there it is. So thank you, everybody. You can find us at our new Twitter account at Arsenal CET Pod. Not even get my hat Gooner Tez. We'll be back next week, buddy.
It's going to be a while now. It's going to be our longest break for a while because we got no midweek game. It's like holiday.
Oh, we don't. Yeah. We're also, and I'm hopeless at doing it, but I'll give the shout out to Patreon. You can get a bit of stuff on Patreon too. So if you have any questions there, just hit us up on socials because I haven't even promoted that. So anyway, right, buddy. Thank you, everybody, and good night. Goodbye.